So hi, this is Nick Williams. I'm sitting here with JerryandDiane and Diane Cirincione. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I've just had the pleasure of an evening gala dinner with you and day's workshop, and I've been delighted to be in your company. It's been so precious to spend time with you, so thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here in London.
Thank you.
Our honor to be with you.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
very
being
much.
with Miracle Network is always a joy. It's a great community.
Beautiful, doing wonderful work. You very kindly offered just to spend a couple of minutes sharing your experience of being messengers in the world, really, because you've been spreading wonderful messages and teaching and helping people transform their lives now for, what, 30-odd years?
30 for me, but 35 for Jerry, so I
Yeah.
think I'll let Jerry probably begin.
And you've been to 56 countries, and you've never marketed yourself.
No, we never market. We go where we're invited.
Brilliant.
We have a celestial scheduler.
You have a higher power marketing plan.
Yeah, we actually do.
Well, I can tell you a story about that.
Yeah, by all means.
Love is Letting Go of Fear, when it first came out in 1979. It was my first book. When I was in college, I flunked the English entrance exam, and I took an English dumbbell course, which I got a D- in. The professor said, "I don't know what you're going to do in life, but for God's sakes, don't ever try to write a book." And then when I wrote this first book, it wasn't selling that much. There was a national program, Johnny Carson, and an actor by the name of
Orson Bean.
I didn't know him, but he gave me a telegram saying, "Watch Johnny Carson show tonight." And so Johnny Carson asked him a question which he ignored, and he pulled out the book Love is Letting Go of Fear and talked for 10 minutes and became a bestseller. So people ask me, "Who's my marketing agent?
And you say,
who does PR?" And I said, "Only God could do this. I'm not smart enough to do this."
So I think
So it's really trusting in God, I would
Well,
say.
that was going to be one of my questions, is how much of it has felt like your plan and how much of it has felt like a divine plan?
Not my plan at all.
So it sounds like, you show up and wrote the book, but then it was kind of out of your hands. And
well, I think that we're in a partnership, and I think that we agreed to serve.
Yeah.
And Jerry's agreed to serve, I've agreed to serve, and then in our 30 years together, we've come together as service as the core of our, and our relationship with Spirit, with God, service as the core of our relationship. So it's from that everything else has evolved. And we don't have an attachment to where we go.
No.
And in fact, when we may get multiple, which we do, often get multiple invitations, then we just meditate and pray. And ego-wise, it's not necessarily the one that I would select. So, but it always winds up being the place where we need to be. And so we do trust that. And we don't do it some of the time, we do it all the time, and I think that's the difference. So it's a way of life for us. Instead of our ego going, well, I think I need to do this, need to do that. There's nothing wrong with marketing and everything. I understand all of that. It just doesn't have to be our way.
It's a commitment to service, really,
Yes,
and a commitment to partnership with each other by the sound of it, and a commitment to love.
A lot of times the success is driven by wanting, fame in the world, and also by people's success is driven by wanting to be known. Neither has driven us. We live very simply. We live in a simple little
That's
home.
not been our goal, to be famous.
Yes, right. And
Your goal is to serve.
And also with our lifestyle, we have a simple lifestyle intentionally. One car, simple little house, and no bills, so that we're not having to feed that thing that one creates, that big energy. It works great for other people. It's not something that works for us. It's something we don't want. And we've consciously chosen that.
To keep it simple.
Yes, keep it simple.
Beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask you the question, and I don't know how concisely you can answer it. If somebody said in a sentence or two, what is the message you feel you're here to share?
For me, it's to be a messenger of God's love and light, without necessarily using the word God, because there are a lot of atheists out there. So it's to use a simple language that is easily understood, but goes very deeply, and do my best to walk my path so I can be authentic in terms of my integrity and how I act, and how Diane act with each other. You're on stage a lot, people can see. If we just had a fight and we're pretending we're peaceful, they sense that. So we do a prayer before we go on anything. And I think I'd like to share that with you.
Right. Thank you.
And things like this. before we would do a TV show or a lecture.
Anything, meeting with people, it's just to get your ego out of the way, regardless of what your
And it
practice
comes from A
is.
Course in Miracles, and it goes like this: we are here only to be truly helpful.
And we're here to represent you who sent us.
And we do not have to worry about what we're going to say or do.
Because you who sent us will direct us.
We're content to be wherever you wish.
Knowing that you're going there with us.
And we will be healed.
As we let you teach us to heal.
So that gets the ego out of the way. And we don't have to worry about what we're going to say because we've given it to God. So we don't have a plan in that sense of the word.
So you're very free, and that's what I've got from spending this time with you, is how free you feel.
We are very free. And we never had the goal of having even a second center. Never even had the goal of the first center. It's just sort of like kids created it with Jerry, and it just has evolved. It's the most organic organization. I have degrees in business also, and I've had 6 companies over time, as well as being a psychologist. So for me, I look at the organizational behavior and structure of it. It's the most organic thing I've ever seen. It just has this way of being because we don't control it. And people really know they need to do this work in the world.
So we don't have a 5-year plan. We don't even have a 1-year plan.
People always ask us that. We go, I don't know.
We ask God, we would each say about what is it we should think, say, and do this day. And we stay with them. And if we hear that we got an invitation from someplace, we don't use our rational mind to say yes or no, but we both pray until we both get the same answer, and we answer. Right. And then we go back to the present. Don't worry about it.
And I'd say for myself, as far as the message goes, there's no message that we want to apostolatize in the world. Jerry and I share the vulnerability of our own experience in how we are learning and how we're healing ourselves. And we share those stories, and we share other people's stories. And that's pretty much what we do, and it's really about remembering and forgetting who we are, and forgetting who we are, and going back, and through the forgiveness process. And
I've really enjoyed your humanness.
We share that,
well.
and we share our vulnerability. We find it safe and helpful to share our mistakes, the problems we've had, and have our dirty linen out on the table. And we find that very helpful.
It's very free.
And helpful to other people.
With nothing to hide then, is it?
Because it encourages other people to do the same.
Yeah.
We don't plan to be gurus or someone who knows more than another person.
We don't consider ourselves teachers of it, too. One of our principles of attitudinal healing, on the Attitudinal Healing International site, they're all there, but one of them is that we're all equal students and teachers to each other. And it sounds like, oh, that's a simple, nice little statement. But the reality is that role is constantly shifting. So if we think we've come here just to teach people, I think we've missed the whole message, because we've learned so much. Same with being therapists. Exactly. So we have decades of being therapists also. If you think you're in the room and it's only here to help the other person, that you're not getting helped and you're not learning, I think you're missing the core spiritual aspect of it. You do have a responsibility as a therapist, but also you should be learning yourself. And so that role, is constantly shifting and changing. And
we would like to let your listeners be aware, if they wanted to contact us and learn more about our work. You want to share our website?
Yeah, it's www.ahinternational.org.
Thank you. And when did you recognise your kind of impulse to share these messages? Was there a particular point in your lives where you thought, I want to share stuff?
It was never that I wanted to share stuff. It was that in 1975, I had a spiritual epiphany. I knew that I was going to be in a spiritual course the rest of my life, making God's will my will one. And
that's from atheism to that.
And I would listen.
Big leap.
I would listen to that inner voice and tell me what to think, say, and do. And that's what we've done. And to know that if we follow that pathway of love and forgiveness, not blaming others or ourselves, that we create an energy in ourselves, a peace, and that energy is something that attracts many people who wish to find out more about that. And then we share our pathway with them, not trying to be authoritarian or saying they should do this or do that. But that kind of just sharing who and what we are and what we see our purpose is, a higher purpose than our ego self that is always interested in getting more and making more money and having better homes. That's not our goal. Our goal is to just be a messenger. And that inner peace is our goal. And that gives us the greatest joy ever.
Yeah, I get that. And, you know, when I'm working with people who want to get out into the world, obviously one of the things that comes up is like fear of what are people going to think of me and, you know, your humanness. How have you dealt with that, or how would you give tips to other people to deal with the human fears and the human vulnerabilities?
Well, I know for me it happened actually in an instant, and I met Jerry in 1981, and by around 1983, and he was suggesting that I do some work with him in public, and I thought he was sort of crazy, but anyway, a couple of things happened, and we wound up doing it, and I said, okay, I would do this event with him down in Southern California at the University of California, Irvine, and at the time I wasn't a psychologist at the time, and so I was really feeling kind of intimidated inside. What am I going to do here? It just makes sense. But Jerry just seemed so clear about it. So we went there, and my name wasn't on the program. And I said, "See, I wasn't supposed to do that." And I was, you know, when something goes wrong, you want to find someone to blame. So I was definitely blaming Jerry because I wasn't taking responsibility. And I said, I'm not going in there. And then he sat down and very gently he said, "Well, you know, even if your name was on there, Diane, you wouldn't have to go in." And I said, "Well, that's fine. It's not on there. I'm not going in." And he said, "Well, can I ask you one question? Why did you come here today?" And I would ask that of your listeners, your viewers. Why are they doing what they're doing? And so I thought for a moment. I said, "I came here to give love." And he said, "Are you capable of doing that?" I said, "Yeah, I know I can do that." And then he said, "That's all you will ever be required to do." And then he gently got up and he said, "I may see you at the end of the day. I may see you in the audience, or I may see you on the stage. I love you." And he walked away.
Wow.
And I sat there and I thought, gosh, give love. I know how to give love. I know that. I don't know all this other stuff, but I know that. I asked for guidance, and I got, yes, go. And that started it. And from then on, you know, we did the healer's prayer, that prayer we did before, you know, that I'm here only to be truly helpful. We do it before, not every event only, but when we meet people, we'll do it sometimes 3-4 times a day. And it really gets the ego out of the way. And so from then on, you know, for the last, oh God, what is that now? That's like 27 years of lecturing and working together on stages all over the world. It's never about being nervous. We didn't look nervous today, right?
No.
We're so casual. We're like, we don't have a script. Like I told them earlier, we don't know where we're going, but we sure aren't lost.
I could tell almost, you know,
we're not lost.
On a section by section basis, you were checking in to go. Right,
yeah,
right.
We had fun, and it was
we had fun.
enjoyable.
Right, it's pure for us and honest for us. So
wonderful, thank you.
So thank you for asking.
And anybody watching or listening, you know, if they feel they've got a message that they're here to share, what would be your tips to anyone watching or listening to start that journey or to move further on that journey?
You know, for me, it's not so much the mechanical things that you do, because I think others can share a lot of information about that, and they're pretty obvious in this technological world. For me, I would say just be really clear about your intentionality and why you're doing something. And if it's going to be either out of love or it's going to be out of fear. Love would be out of the love of doing it, the love of service, the love of spirit, the love of humanity. Fear would be out of, I'm afraid that if I don't do this, I won't be known, I won't get my word out, all this stuff that goes with it, under fear. So I think it's important to know ourselves, and it's always a journey. You're only going to know so much at the point where you're answering the question, and the next day maybe you'll know more. But I say that unless you have the integrity with yourself, people are going to see right through you. And so I'd say that's the first tool I would pick up in my toolbox to go out in the world, is that make sure that you have a pretty pure heart when you're doing it. And then people will see that. And the words you use, the techniques you use, how you dress, the number of people in the audience, it really doesn't matter. It's all made up. It doesn't matter. It only matters that you're healing, you're learning.
I would say to believe that nothing's impossible. To don't let other people make the decision whether you're going to be peaceful or not, which means don't give your power to other people.
To know that you can make the choice for love,
yes.
And you can make the choice for peace.
And to believe in miracles, and to be clear that if you're doing it to make more money, if you're doing it to be more famous, it's all stuff that you want to do to create a better ego. And so I'm saying that for us, it's helpful to not do it on an ego base, but doing it on a higher power based, on a desire to have a purpose that's greater than our ego self, which for us means a higher power based on love and peace, and be messengers of that. And you can't be messengers of that unless you accept the message for yourself, to know that we are love, we are peace, we are joy. Happiness is our natural inheritance, because we're not just these bodies, that we're really spiritual beings, we're light beings. And to do our best to see the light in others and ourselves. And when we do that, we're happy campers, and it doesn't make any difference. You know, how many people, maybe nobody would come to this lecture. I would have been okay tonight.
I was sitting at the table last night when we were having dinner and thought, I want to do 86 like you're doing it.
Yeah, me too.
I encourage you. I'm glad to be a model.
Thank you. And final question, you know, if you could talk to the two of you that were starting on this journey together, I know you were doing it long, about 30 years ago, what would you kind of say to them? What would you mentor them? You know, the couple that you were 30 years ago, what would you say to them, knowing where and who you are today? What tips would you give them?
I would say, don't listen to me or JerryandDiane, just do and follow your heart, because your intentions are good. And it doesn't matter how it looks or how it winds up. If you're, like Mother Teresa said, it's your intentionality of going in the direction. I was really clear about serving in my life, and Jerry was very clear about that. That's how we came together. That is the core of our relationship. And then it's us, and then it's the relationship. So I'd say, just do it the way you did it. I wouldn't give them any advice to make it any different, because every lesson's been so amazing. Yeah.
Well, I haven't got a little ego left, so I'm going to give you some advice.
Oh, good. Okay, Jerry.
And from our experience, at least, it would be not to have a 30-year plan or 10-year plan, to really live in the present.
Which we did, yeah.
To not believe that the past is going to predict the future. Be comfortable in living out of the box. Don't try to win a popularity contest.
That's all the things we told ourselves.
Be yourself. Don't try to be more than yourself in terms of your ego self. Let go of greed, let go of comparisons, and know that you're here to spread the message of happiness by how you demonstrate your life, to demonstrate forgiveness, how you see things. People look at us and they see, do we walk our pathway based on what we wrote? Are we legitimate? You know, and if Diane and I had a fight before, they would see that immediately. So we talked about that, you know, just before now.
Yeah, you're very open.
We had a difficulty with each other, and we sat down and let go of our what we thought was the negative energy, and went to God. We forgave each other.
Just let it go.
We moved on.
Yeah, we use these principles.
So we do our best not to get stuck in the past.
In our marriage.
And to really be creative, I think, if two young people would be not to use the past to predict the future, and really listen to that inner voice. Saying there's only trust, and we feel there are only two emotions, love or fear, and to be able to see them. For some people who are giving you an interview might look like they're attacking you, and we've had this experience, and on CNN, and we turn around and say, I'm not going to see that person attack me. I see him as fearful for whatever reason.
So it's a call for love.
So I just continue to say love, and I'm comfortable that way about peace. If I take it literally, then I fight back, and I don't want to do that anymore. I used to do that.
There was an interview on CNN years ago that was about Goodbye to Guilt, and the people interviewing hadn't read the books. It was like nationwide, you know, and I was touched by how defenseless Jerry was. We got more mail about that interview than anything we've done in all these years, and it was all about. It was amazing to see how you handled attack. And it was.
That's what inspires and impresses people, is when
yeah,
they see an attack
we didn't
and
know.
they don't
We
see
had no idea.
defense.
Yes, it was very powerful. So thank you for asking.
Well, thank you. I could carry on talking for hours, but I know you've got to go and have dinner. So thank you so much. It's been a real joy and a pleasure to have met you, to have spent time with you, to have been in your presence.
Thank you.
And, thank you
Thanks
for doing
what
this
you're
for
doing.
everyone.
And thank you for helping others.
Those two ways.
God bless. Thank you.